morning, body. I would like to start by asking the representation of the claimant to introduce their team. Mr. Foster.
Yes, sir. If I'll introduce myself, I think it will be easier if we
Can
just
you
go
use the
down.
microphone, please?
sorry.
Yeah.
Got to get used to this again. I'll introduce myself, and then I think it will probably be easier if we just go down the list for everyone to introduce himself. Thank you. I'm Alan Foster, representing the claimant.
Kevin Stern on behalf of the claimant.
Daniel Carey, trial tech for the claimant.
Nick Caldwell on behalf of the claimant.
Henry Posner, Chairman, Ferrovias, Guatemala.
Juan Pablo Carrasco de Grot, attorney for the claimant.
Robert Pietrandrea, Railroad Development Corporation.
Andy Biller with RDC.
Speak up.
Precious Murchison for the claimant.
Regina Bargo for the claimant.
Ruth S.B. Romero for the claimant.
Adrian Sneed for the claimant.
Do you see when this thing plugs in?
That's all for the claimant side. Mr. Horta, would like to introduce your team.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. First off, good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you today. Good morning to folks on the other side of the table. My name is David Orta, an attorney at Arnold & Porter, and counsel of record for the Republic of Guatemala. To my left, I have Mr. Whitney Debevois, who is also a partner at Arnold & Porter and also representing the government of Guatemala in the case. I'm going to introduce the representatives that are here on behalf of the government of Guatemala and then the rest of the Arnold & Porter team. To my left, somewhere along this table, is the Attorney General of Guatemala, Mr. Larry Robles, who is here in representation of the government of Guatemala for this proceeding. We are assisting him in the defense of the case. He also is assisted by Mr. Saul Oliva from the Office of the Attorney General of Guatemala as well. Ms. Silvia Cabrera, also with the Office of the Attorney General. Mr. Aníbal Samayoa, who is also to my left, Deputy Secretary General of the Office of the Presidency of the Republic of Guatemala. Mr. Minor Castillo with the Ministry of Economy of the Republic of Guatemala. Mr. Romeo Lopez, also with the Ministry of the Economy of the Republic of Guatemala. We have Mr. Jose Lambur here with us today of the Embassy of Guatemala here in the United States, and also not here today, but in some of the hearing days is Mr. Fernando de la Cerda, also of the Guatemalan Embassy here in the United States. And lastly, in terms of representatives of the Republic of Guatemala, Mr. Cesar Paez, who is with FEGUA. He's a legal advisor there and here in representation of that railway agency. In terms of additional members of the Arnold & Porter team, we have Mr. Daniel Salinas Serrano, who's to my left, Ms. Margarita Sanchez, Giselle Fuentes, Ms. Dawn Hewitt, Ms. Mallory Silverman, who's not here with us today but may be here on other days of the hearing, Mr. Hans Hertel, who again is not here today but may join us other days, Amy Endicott, Pedro Soto, it's quite a long list, Jose Bernard Palay, Mr. Kelvy Balena, who's here, Camila Valenzuela, and Nicole Ann Aronson. With your indulgence, I wanted to make sure everyone was on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horta. We have also representation from non-disputing parties from the U.S. and El Salvador, and I would appreciate if they could identify themselves. Thank you. Salvador.
Representing the Republic of El Salvador as a non-disputing party. With me is Erin Argueta, also representing El Salvador, and Tomas Solis, and also from the Embassy of El Salvador, Mr. Anderson Solano.
Thank you. Before proceeding further, I would like to make a small change in the time schedule of today. We have from 9 to 5 every day. One of the members of the tribunal cannot be here beyond 4:30 today because of previous commitments. And what I would propose, not to shorten the time of the hearing, is that instead of having an hour and a half lunch, we have only 1 hour break for lunch. Also, I will ask the head of both representations if they could have a few minutes with the tribunal before we start the hearing in the afternoon.